Good, happy Tuesday morning, December 1st, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Tuesday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday morning, so let's begin. First up, let's begin with COVID-19 updates. Health officials report 514 new positive cases of COVID-19 in New Hampshire, reporting new cases for Saturday and Sunday. New Hampshire health officials on Monday announced 514 COVID-19 cases over the past 2 days. New Hampshire COVID updates. New information and data. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 20,994 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 13,525,889 number of people in the United States have tested positive. 526 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 839 number of people have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 888 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. And now let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where current cases of COVID-19 are. Nashua, 465. And let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where total cases of COVID-19 are. Nashua, 36. And now let's take a look at the three charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple. Daily new positive COVID-19 cases. Orange, new hospitalization. And red, deaths. Let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases in the purple, total current COVID-19 cases, orange, current hospitalization. Let's take a look at this chart here, total cases. In the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases, orange, total hospitalization, red, deaths, and blue, recovered. Let's take a look at this chart here. Positive PCR test rate and daily PCR test. Let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases, female and male of cases, and risk information. Let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. Let's take a look at this chart here. Your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, difficult breathing, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Holiday gatherings concern health officials aimed second COVID-19 surge. Doctors want those who travel to hold themselves accountable. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Amy Cavino.
As the weeks go by, I think the base number of COVID-related illness is going to keep rising.
It's worse now in New Hampshire than it's ever been.
With the recent travel because of the holidays, Thanksgiving, we expect to see significantly higher numbers in the next few weeks.
32 new COVID-positive patients at Elliott Hospital today. Right now, 20 patients are hospitalized for COVID, an all-time high. How much more can the Elliott handle?
I think 20 is a number that we feel pretty comfortable, even 20s, 30s, 40s. Again, if we can balance traditional healthcare demand and unscheduled
Hospital officials say it's less about beds and more about manpower. Nurses are in high demand, and shortages are a worry.
As the number of people in the community have COVID, our ability to staff all those beds, right, because our staff is quarantined for 10 to 14 days, or, worst case scenario, actually sick with COVID, or other things.
Sharing a border with Massachusetts brings unique challenges to Nashua. Public health officials say they have followed the state's lead in the second surge, moving from containment to mitigation for contact tracing.
We have about 397 active cases right now and 418 active contacts. So it's a lot, but it's good news too, because the case to contact ratio is about 1-to-1.
What she means by that 1-to-1 ratio, it indicates the virus is not spreading to large groups and that people are taking the surge seriously in the Gate City by limiting contacts and cutting back on social activities. Reporting live this evening, Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire health officials report potential community exposure in Londonderry. Patrons, staff potentially exposed at Stumble Inn Bar and Grill. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Snow piles up quickly. Remove it just as quickly with Kubota subcompact and compact tractors. Our number...
DHHS is warning about a potential community exposure of COVID-19 at the Stumble Inn Bar and Grill in Londonderry. Health officials say if you were there between November 11th and 23rd, you may have been exposed and should get tested. So far, 11 cases have been linked to the establishment. It's now temporarily closed.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. COVID-19 vaccines could arrive in New Hampshire by end of 2020. Second company files for FDA approval. Elderly vulnerable to receive vaccine first. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
Moderna is now the second pharmaceutical company to file promising data with the FDA about its coronavirus vaccine. Partly produced at Lonza Biologic in Portsmouth, reporting over 94% effectiveness, and even more so at preventing severe cases. Dartmouth infectious disease professor Dr. Elizabeth Talbot calls it a massive move forward.
As a society, as a species, I think that it's hard to overstate the enthusiasm within the expert community for some of the data that we're seeing right now in terms of safety, in terms of efficacy across age populations.
The FDA reviews Pfizer's application on December 10th, Moderna's on the 17th, so New Hampshire could see vaccine here as early as the 12th through the 21st, and the governor says the state is ready.
As soon as the vaccine is available, we're going to be moving those shipments out literally the very next day.
Frontliners, the elderly and most vulnerable, get it first in 2 doses, 21 and 28 days apart.
CVS and Walgreens are really the facilitator, if you will. So we place the order on behalf of the long-term care facilities. CVS and Walgreens get the vaccine from the manufacturers themselves and distribute it exactly as we tell them to distribute it.
But experts say no vaccine will turn this pandemic around quickly.
So we don't know whether this vaccine prevents asymptomatic illness or reduces the amount of viral shedding or transmissibility of those who break through with disease.
So community mitigation measures will need to remain in place for months to come.
That is, just because you get a shot doesn't mean you can throw away your mask or forego social distancing.
The governor says phases for the general population will likely be early spring, with information to follow. Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Search continues for emergency winter homeless shelter in Manchester. All city buildings back on the table. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
Snow piles up quickly. Remove it just as quickly with Kubota subcompact and compact tractors. Our #1 selling tractor.
The mayor says all city buildings are back on the table, including this one behind me, the JFK Coliseum. Last week, a privately owned building was being considered as an option for families in transition, New Horizons, to run a temporary homeless shelter December through March. But the mayor says that fell through, leaving them scrambling to find another option, including all city buildings once again, like the JFK Coliseum, which the mayor says may be the best option for what they need. Due to COVID-19, the amount of shelter beds have been reduced because of the need for social distancing, and this year the city has seen an increase in the amount of people living unsheltered.
Because of the press that this has received, we've gotten, information from residents and businesses throughout the city on, suggestions. It's a very complicated situation. There's no good or easy solution. The last thing we do want to do is utilize JFK, but at the end of the day, if it is the only option, that will be what, FIT and the EOC bring forward.
The mayor says the city has no exact deadline in this situation, but a building has to be chosen in the next few weeks. Reporting in Manchester, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News Now.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Photographer who gave student card with link to pornographic at Concord High School. Officials say photographer has been fired. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jessica Moran.
It's not tolerated, and it cannot be tolerated in any district, in any school, in any setting where there are children.
Concord Interim Superintendent Kathleen Murphy speaking to News 9 after informing parents about inappropriate conduct by a photographer on school picture day. The superintendent's office says on November 20th, a photographer at Concord High School talked to a student about a modeling project and handed the student a card containing information on how to access a pornographic website. The student told their parent.
They had no idea that the site involved anything until Mom saw it, and that's why Mom then sent an email to both myself as well as the principal at the high school, and we took immediate action.
The superintendent says school officials alerted the photography company, the school resource officer, Concord Police, and New Hampshire's Department of Education.
That, to me, is a breach of conduct by an adult to a student, and I take that very seriously.
The superintendent says the photographer passed a criminal record check and they've worked with the company in the past. They say this year the company worked at another Concord school, but the photographer in this case was not there. Today, the high school sent out a survey to students to learn if others had a similar experience.
We're trying to create safe environments for youngsters, and we want to ensure that our students are safe and that the people who are in our schools are appropriate.
Anyone who experienced similar behavior is asked to contact Concord High School and the superintendent's office. In Concord, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Police chase. Maine man no longer faces charges. Charges have been dropped against a Maine man who was allegedly driving under the influence of alcohol when he led state troopers on a chase last year. According to court records, after due to COVID-19 and a June trial date in Rochester Circuit Court was canceled, the charges were dropped. Republican House leaders moves Organization Day to outside setting aimed virus surge. People will be bundled up. I think we could relax our dress code so people can dress appropriately, said Rep. Steve Shirtlaw, a Concord Democrat whose term as House Speaker ends Tuesday. Shitloff was headed to Durham Monday morning to discuss logistics with leaders from the new Republican majority and other officials. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.